Some people demand attention. INFJs attract it without even trying. There's something magnetic about their quiet confidence, their unspoken depth, and the way they move through the world with calm precision. They don't chase validation, yet they receive it everywhere they go. It's not about looks, charm, or words, it's about energy. The INFJ's silence doesn't repel, it pulls. It makes people wonder, what are they thinking? What do they know that I don't? And that mystery, that emotional stillness paired with undeniable intensity is exactly what makes them unforgettable. INFJs have mastered the art of subtle impact. They walk into a room and change its energy without speaking a single word. Their empathy isn't loud, but it's felt. They see people clearly, their emotions, their motives, their hidden pain, and yet they never reveal how much they truly know. That quiet awareness creates a psychological pull, almost hypnotic in nature. People feel safe, seen, and slightly exposed in their presence, like the INFJ understands something even they can't put into words. And the more someone tries to figure them out, the deeper the fascination grows. It's not manipulation, it's magnetism. The INFJ's balance of warmth and distance keeps people hooked. They can be soft yet unreadable, kind yet mysterious. That paradox, gentle strength, makes others feel drawn to them even when they don't want to be. And while everyone else seeks attention through noise, the INFJ commands it through silence. Because the truth is, real power doesn't shout, it listens. And the INFJ listens so deeply that people reveal their souls without realizing it. That's why others become obsessed, not with what the INFJ says, but with what they make them feel. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Brainy One, where we dive deep into the hidden psychology, emotional intelligence, and silent power behind INFJ minds. And if you've watched until now, comment quiet magnetism below, so I'll know you're one of the rare ones who understands that the strongest presence doesn't need words. Their calm presence makes people feel both safe and exposed at the same time. An INFJ's energy is paradoxical, soft enough to comfort, but sharp enough to see through you. When they walk into a room, they don't dominate with volume or charisma. They shift the atmosphere with stillness. People can't explain it, but they feel it. It's the calmness in their eyes, the quiet in their movements, the way they seem completely present in a world addicted to distraction. You find yourself breathing slower around them, lowering your guard without realizing it. And yet, that same presence makes you uneasy, because deep down, you sense they can see parts of you you've never shown anyone. There's something profoundly disarming about an INFJ's stillness. It doesn't ask for attention, it commands it effortlessly. They hold space for you in a way that makes your emotions rise to the surface. You start sharing thoughts you swore you'd never speak aloud. It's not manipulation, it's resonance. The INFJ feels your energy before you do. They read what's between your words, what lingers behind your smile. Their presence becomes a mirror, one that reflects not only who you are, but who you're hiding from. People often mistake their peace for passivity, but that's far from the truth. Behind that calm exterior lies an ocean of perception, one that registers every shift in tone, every flicker of discomfort, every emotional current in the air. It's why others find them unforgettable. Once you've been seen by an INFJ, you can't unfeel it. Their energy stays with you long after they've gone, like a song that never fully fades. The safety they create isn't artificial, it's born from understanding. And the exposure they trigger isn't judgment, it's truth. That's what makes their calm so magnetic and unsettling all at once. People crave it and fear it in equal measure, because in the presence of an INFJ, masks feel heavy, lies feel loud, and authenticity becomes inevitable. And that's the quiet power they hold. They don't need to speak to be heard. Their silence is their presence, and it lingers long after the conversation ends. They listen so deeply that others feel understood like never before. When an INFJ listens to you, it doesn't feel like a conversation. It feels like confession. Their attention is total, undivided, and almost sacred. They don't just hear your words, they feel them. Every pause, every hesitation, every emotion buried between syllables, they absorb it all. You'll notice how their eyes don't wander, how they don't rush to respond. They're not waiting for their turn to speak. They're watching your soul unravel in real time. And in that rare silence, people feel something they didn't know they were missing, to be truly understood. It's unsettling at first, that level of presence. Most people are used to being half heard, their stories skimmed over or compared to someone else's, but an INFJ's listening isn't casual, it's transformative. They create a kind of emotional gravity that pulls honesty out of you without effort. You find yourself revealing things you've never said aloud, not because they asked, but because, somehow, you want to. Their empathy opens a door that feels safe to walk through. This kind of listening isn't passive, it's powerful. The INFJ analyzes patterns as you speak, sensing the weight behind your words, tracing your pain back to its root. They remember details, the ones you thought no one would notice. And later, when they reflect something back to you with clarity and compassion, it feels almost telepathic. You wonder, how could they possibly know that? But that's what happens when someone listens with both heart and intellect. They don't just hear your story, they understand your psychology. For many, that experience becomes addictive, because in a noisy world where everyone talks to be heard, the INFJ is the rare soul who listens to understand. That's why people chase their presence, even long after the conversation ends. They remember how seen they felt, not for their achievements or image, but for their essence. What most don't realize is that this kind of listening takes energy. It drains the INFJ, yet they offer it willingly because it's part of who they are, and that's why people never forget it. In a world of half attention and surface connection, an INFJ's deep listening feels like a revelation, the kind that leaves you wondering how you ever lived without it. Their silence creates mystery. People can't stop wondering what they're thinking. There's something hauntingly magnetic about the silence of an INFJ. It's not the silence of awkwardness or distance. It's a silence filled with meaning. When they're quiet, you can feel their mind working, their intuition dissecting the unseen layers of everything around them. They don't rush to speak because they're too busy understanding. That restraint, that quiet confidence, makes people curious, almost obsessed. You start wondering what's going on behind those calm eyes. Are they judging you, analyzing you, or do they already know something you don't? The truth is, INFJs rarely reveal their full thoughts, not because they're hiding, but because most people wouldn't understand them. Their inner world is a universe of connections, emotions, and insights that can't be explained in small talk, so they observe instead. They listen, they decode, and they hold back just enough to keep people guessing. That air of quiet enigma draws others in like gravity. People try to fill the silence with words, stories, even jokes, anything to get a reaction. But the INFJ's subtle smile and unreadable calm only deepen the intrigue. Their mystery isn't an act, it's a reflection of depth. They don't need to prove intelligence or dominance through speech. Their silence does it for them. It's the kind that makes people self-conscious, suddenly aware of how much they're revealing, while the INFJ remains composed, unreadable. That imbalance of openness creates fascination. People project onto the INFJ whatever they want to see: wisdom, danger, peace, allure. But the truth is, the INFJ is all of it and none of it at once. What makes their silence powerful is how intentional it feels. Every word they choose has purpose. Every pause holds weight. You can't tell if they're shy or strategic, and that's exactly why people can't stop thinking about them. Their stillness feels like a puzzle, their calm like a challenge, and long after the conversation ends, you'll catch yourself wondering what they really meant or what they never said at all. In a world obsessed with noise, the INFJ's quiet becomes rebellion. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's mastery. Because while everyone else fights to be heard, the INFJ proves that mystery speaks louder than words ever could. They show empathy without words, which builds instant emotional connection. And INFJ doesn't need to say a single word for you to feel their empathy. It radiates through their presence, in the way they look at you, in how their expression softens when you speak, and in the silence that makes you feel completely safe. They don't interrupt, they don't rush to fix you, they simply understand. Their compassion lives in the unspoken, the subtle nod, the warm glance, the way they hold space for your emotions without judgment. That kind of empathy doesn't require explanation. It's felt in the quiet moments where you finally realize you don't have to hide. Most people think connection comes from talking, but INFJs prove it's built through presence. Their empathy isn't performative, it's instinctive. They can sense pain even behind a smile, hear exhaustion in a cheerful tone, and feel sadness in someone who swears they're fine. They know the language of emotion without needing translation. When they're with you, it feels like your heart can breathe again, like someone finally sees the part of you that the world keeps overlooking. What makes this empathy powerful is that it doesn't overwhelm. INFJs don't smother you with pity or sympathy. They meet you in your emotional space quietly, respectfully, as if saying, I know, I've been there too. That silent understanding builds a kind of intimacy that words could never achieve. People often mistake it for magic, how just one look, one presence can make them feel lighter, but it's not magic. It's awareness, the rare ability to feel deeply without drowning in what they feel. Their unspoken empathy becomes a safe harbor for others. It's why people open up to them so easily, even strangers. They can't explain why they trust the INFJ so quickly, they just do. Because when someone sees your pain without you having to explain it, that's not just empathy, that's healing. And yet, the INFJ never demands gratitude or recognition for it. They give quietly and disappear just as silently, leaving behind a trace of calm, warmth, and mystery. That's the paradox of their empathy. Invisible, yet unforgettable. Because when an INFJ connects with you without words, you don't just feel understood, you feel seen. They read unspoken energy and mirror it with quiet precision. INFJs don't rely on words to understand people. They read energy. The way someone enters a room, the tension in their shoulders, the rhythm of their breath, it all speaks louder than language ever could. An INFJ's intuition scans the emotional field instantly, sensing what others try to hide. They know when someone's pretending to be fine, when a compliment masks jealousy, or when laughter is forced. It's not guessing, it's feeling. They absorb emotional frequencies with the accuracy of a radar, mirroring them back so subtly that most people never realize what's happening. When you talk to an INFJ, it feels like they're perfectly in sync with you. Their tone matches yours, their expressions shift to reflect your emotions, and their body language aligns seamlessly. It's not imitation, it's empathy in motion. This mirroring builds immediate trust because it tells your subconscious, this person understands me. That's the INFJ's secret. They don't force connection, they become it. They harmonize with your emotional state so naturally that you feel safe, accepted, and deeply seen, even if you've only known them for minutes. But this gift comes with depth most people can't comprehend. Reading unspoken energy means they carry emotional awareness wherever they go. They can sense tension between people who haven't spoken yet, feel dishonesty before it's confessed, and notice when someone's energy shifts mid-sentence. Their emotional radar is both a blessing and a burden. It gives them insight, but it also exhausts them. Because while others live in the surface of words, INFJs live in the undertones. When they mirror someone, it's not manipulation, it's understanding. They're giving others the comfort of being seen in their emotional language, but the power of this ability is what makes INFJs so unforgettable. People walk away from a single conversation with them feeling lighter, calmer, more grounded, without realizing why. It's because the INFJ didn't just listen, they aligned. Their presence adapts like water, soft when you're fragile, steady when you're uncertain, firm when you're lost. And when they finally walk away, the silence they leave behind feels almost physical. Because when someone mirrors your unspoken truth so effortlessly, they become impossible to forget. Not for what they said, but for what they understood. Their authenticity stands out in a world full of performance. The INFJ doesn't wear masks, and that alone makes them magnetic. In a world where most people bend themselves to fit expectations, the INFJ remains quietly real. They don't perform to be liked, and they don't chase validation. Their honesty isn't loud, it's steady, grounded, and rare. You can feel it in the way they speak, slow, intentional, with no hidden agenda. Their words carry weight because they come from truth, not strategy. That raw genuineness is what sets them apart. People feel it instantly. It's disarming in a world that's forgotten how to be sincere. When you meet an INFJ, you can sense that they've made peace with solitude. They'd rather be alone than surrounded by fake smiles and shallow energy. That's why their presence feels different. They're not trying to impress you, they're trying to understand you. They don't pretend to have it all together, and they don't fake interest to keep peace. Their calm honesty is refreshing, even if it's a little intimidating. People sense it, that this person doesn't need to perform to have value. They are value. Their authenticity creates a kind of emotional gravity. In a conversation, they make you feel grounded, like you can finally drop your own mask. You start speaking more honestly without even realizing it. You laugh differently, your tone softens, your words become more real. That's what the INFJ does. They bring out the truth in others simply by standing in theirs. It's not something they force, it's who they are. But authenticity for the INFJ isn't easy. It's earned. It comes from years of being misunderstood, from watching people sacrifice their truth just to belong. They learn that pretending drains the soul, and honesty, even if it isolates you, heals it. So they choose truth, even when it costs them relationships. And that's what makes them unforgettable. You can't fake what the INFJ radiates: quiet integrity, emotional honesty, and the kind of presence that makes pretense feel heavy. In a world built on filters and facades, their realness shines like light through smoke. People can't help but be drawn to it because deep down, everyone craves what the INFJ already lives: authenticity without apology. They give meaningful attention, making others feel seen on a soul level. When an INFJ gives you their attention, it doesn't feel ordinary, it feels sacred. In a world where most people listen just to reply, the INFJ listens to understand. They look at you, really look at you, as if they're reading the emotions between your words. Their focus is calm, their energy unwavering, and for a moment, it feels like you're the only person in existence. That depth of presence is rare, and it creates a kind of emotional gravity that people never forget. It's not just that they're paying attention, it's that their attention carries meaning. Most people crave to be noticed, but the INFJ goes deeper than noticing. They witness, they see you beyond the surface. The words, the smiles, the practiced expressions. They catch the flicker in your eyes when you're pretending to be fine. They notice the shift in your tone when something's bothering you. They don't interrupt or fill the silence. They let you unfold naturally, like you're safe to exist without performance. That's what their presence communicates. You don't have to hide here. It's that emotional depth that makes their attention feel almost healing. People who cross paths with an INFJ often describe feeling lighter, calmer, more whole, and they can't explain why. It's because the INFJ doesn't just see what's shown, they feel what's hidden. They validate emotions you never had words for, making you realize that maybe for the first time, someone actually gets it. And yet, the INFJ doesn't give this kind of attention to everyone. It's selective, intentional, and rooted in sincerity. They know how much energy it costs to connect at that depth. So when they offer you their presence, it's not casual, it's a silent act of care. That's what makes it unforgettable. Long after they've gone, people replay their conversations with an INFJ in their minds, not because of what was said, but because of how they felt. Being seen that deeply changes you. It wakes something in your spirit, the need to be real, to be honest, to be known. And that's the INFJ's quiet gift. Their attention doesn't just notice people, it transforms them. Their emotional intelligence allows them to connect without losing themselves. The INFJ's emotional intelligence is their superpower. It's what allows them to dive deeply into people's emotions without drowning in them. They can stand in someone else's storm and still remain centered. Most people mistake their empathy for fragility, but that's the biggest misconception. An INFJ doesn't get lost in others, they navigate them. They understand emotions the way a sailor understands the sea, aware of every current, every undercurrent, every shift in energy, but always knowing how to stay on course. When they connect with someone, it's never reckless. They know how to hold space for another person's pain while keeping their own emotional boundaries intact. They don't absorb everything, they filter it. Their mind constantly translates feelings into patterns, meanings, and lessons. That's how they help others without losing themselves in the process. They can listen to heartbreak, chaos, and trauma and still walk away at peace because they've learned the difference between feeling for someone and becoming them. This balance makes their connections rare and powerful. People feel completely seen and accepted, but the INFJ doesn't spiral into emotional exhaustion the way most empaths do. They've evolved past emotional overextension. They know that compassion without boundaries leads to depletion. So they've learned to give love consciously, not endlessly. That discipline is what turns their sensitivity into strength. What makes this emotional intelligence even more magnetic is how it allows the INFJ to adapt effortlessly to different people and energies. They can speak gently to the fragile, directly to the strong, and honestly to the lost, always with precision. They understand that not every connection is meant to be deep, and not every emotion deserves a reaction. They read people like stories. Some they finish, others they close early, all while keeping their peace. This is why they attract both admiration and mystery. People can't figure out how they manage to care so deeply without being consumed. But the truth is simple. The INFJ has mastered emotional self-awareness. They've learned that strength isn't about building walls, it's about knowing when to open the door and when to walk away. And that quiet mastery is what makes their connections unforgettable, real, grounded, and completely untouchable. They stay calm under pressure, which makes people respect and trust them. When chaos erupts, most people panic, but the INFJ doesn't. Their calm under pressure isn't apathy, it's mastery. They've felt every emotion you can imagine: fear, confusion, anger, heartbreak, and learned how to sit with each one without letting it take control. So when the world shakes, they stay still. That stillness becomes their power. It draws people in, earns quiet respect, and builds trust faster than words ever could. Because when everything feels uncertain, the INFJ's composure becomes the anchor others didn't realize they needed. Their calm isn't something they were born with, it was forged. INFJs have been through emotional storms that could have broken anyone else. They've faced betrayal, loss, and moments where silence was their only defense. Through all of it, they learned that reacting only feeds the chaos. So now, when tension rises, they don't raise their voice, they lower it. They don't fight for control, they become control. Their presence alone steadies the energy of a room. This calmness isn't cold, it's deeply intentional. It allows them to see situations clearly when others lose perspective. They think before they speak, observe before they act, and analyze before they decide. That's why people instinctively trust them in crisis, not because they're loud leaders, but because they radiate quiet certainty. Their steady energy tells you everything will be okay, and somehow you believe it. What most don't realize is that behind that composure lies a mind running at lightning speed, assessing emotions, outcomes, and motives. But they never let the noise show. Their calmness becomes a form of emotional leadership, a silent example that says, strength doesn't need to shout, it simply is. And when the storm finally passes, people remember who stood tall in the silence. The INFJ doesn't demand credit or praise. Their impact speaks for itself, because in a world that glorifies loud confidence, they remind everyone that true power lies in self-control. Their calm doesn't just command respect, it earns loyalty, and those who've witnessed it never forget how it felt to stand next to someone who could stay peaceful in the middle of the fire. Their quiet detachment keeps them unforgettable, a mystery people can't let go of. When an INFJ pulls away, it doesn't feel like rejection, it feels like a haunting. Their absence lingers, echoing louder than words ever could. People replay conversations, revisit memories, and wonder what they did wrong. That's because the INFJ never leaves dramatically. They fade out silently, gracefully, like mist disappearing at dawn, and that subtlety makes them unforgettable. Their detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. Once they sense a connection has reached its depth, they don't force it, they release it. And the quiet way they do it leaves people searching for closure that never comes. INFJs know the emotional cost of attachment better than anyone. They give deeply, connect genuinely, and understand completely. But they also know when to stop pouring into emptiness. Their detachment isn't born from indifference, but from wisdom. They've learned that not everyone can match their depth, and holding on too long only creates imbalance. So they choose distance over emotional exhaustion, peace over constant giving. But what makes it powerful is how silently they do it. No blame, no anger, no explanation, just calm withdrawal that leaves others wondering how someone so gentle could become so unreachable. That's where the mystery begins. People try to decode them, to understand why someone who once felt so close can suddenly seem like a ghost. They remember the warmth, the attention, the emotional safety, and now they're left with quiet. That contrast burns itself into memory because while most people leave with noise, the INFJ leaves with impact. Their detachment also protects their energy. It's their way of resetting, of rebuilding what the world drains from them. They disappear not to punish, but to heal. And when they return, if they ever do, they're transformed, calmer, stronger, wiser. The world keeps chasing noise, but the INFJ has mastered the art of silence, the kind that speaks volumes. And that's why people never forget them, because the INFJ's quiet detachment isn't a disappearance, it's a statement. It says, I cared, I understood, and now I'm at peace. And for those who once knew their depth, that silence becomes a lifetime echo, a reminder that the rarest souls are felt long after they're gone. When an INFJ finally detaches, it's not because they stopped caring, it's because they cared too much for too long. Their silence becomes their healing and their distance becomes their peace. People may never understand it, but that's what makes the INFJ unforgettable. They love deeply, withdraw quietly, and evolve privately. You don't see their transformation happen, you feel it. If you've ever been that person, the one who gives endlessly until you realize peace matters more than proving your loyalty, this video was made for you. Your silence doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. Your calm doesn't mean indifference, it means growth. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to Brainy One, where we explore the psychology, power, and depth behind INFJ minds and their emotional evolution. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever chosen peace over people and realized it was the best decision you ever made? Comment silent strength below if you've reached that point of calm clarity where silence speaks louder than words.